23rd, 2020. And here with us, we invited back Sherry Jiang and Wei Jiang on the Houston Asian American Archives special COVID-19 collection of our history art collections. Thank you both so much for spending time out of your busy evenings.
Of course.
So to start, would you like to tell us how COVID-19 pandemic has changed your lives?
Well, I don't know. In some ways, I mean, I always see the positive first. That's just my personality. So I see the silver lining, which is that we've gotten to spend a lot of time, a lot more time as a family together. So we've pretty much cooked every single meal at home. And the weather this spring has been really nice. It's getting hot now, but it was very nice. We were able to eat outdoors a lot and just spend a lot of time together, the four of us, as a small nuclear family. And that's the best thing. And we've been able to practice some music with my daughter Alice, and been able to even play a concert or two together. So all of that is a blessing. What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Because our work, my work is all canceled for
The symphony.
2 or 3 months, or maybe even more. So I'm kind of forced to stay home and do a lot of other things. So actually, I start learning a lot of other things, like learning how to, like for example, fixing the dishwasher
Yeah, he fixed the
and
microwave and the dishwasher.
microwave, and start to experiment with audio equipment.
Right. He's now our sound engineer, and actually came in very handy because I teach at a preschool, and we were able to teach by Zoom, but it's not easy to teach little 3 to 6 year olds by Zoom. But we've been doing that. All the teachers have worked twice as hard to still make school happen, the online learning. So I've been working, but on a screen, which is not very satisfying. But we were able to have a in-person drive-by graduation for all the children at the preschool, and he was able to figure out a sound system of, with speakers and microphones to make it a really festive occasion. So that was really great, and all the children enjoyed that drive-by parade to celebrate their graduation.
Yeah, and also get a chance to start practicing my solo repertoire more than before, because before I was mostly playing symphonic music, chamber music, but now I can't play with anybody else, so I start looking at my solo repertoire. So I start playing more of my, you know, solo repertoire I haven't played for a while. So it's kind of nice
Yeah.
in a way.
is great to hear that you guys are picking up new skills and doing something that you wouldn't be able to do before. What have been on your mind most during the pandemic? Like if you,
Well, of course, there's the financial worry. I mean, I'm still getting paid, but it's our school is actually going to have summer camp, and we're going to be able to keep going. But for a while, I was worried about when we'd be able to start work again. And of course, the symphony, it's going to be a long time really before they can go back safely. And Wei is actually, well, Wei can tell you about it, but he's on a
Yeah,
couple of committees.
I'm on like two committees for the orchestra musicians, the orchestra committee and negotiating committee. So we're having a lot of Zoom meetings with management and among ourselves. This committee, a lot of talks and discuss about our future plan, how we're gonna try to make a change to survive all right through all this pandemic and be able to get over it.
Yeah, a lot of arts organizations are in the same boat because, I mean, that's probably the last thing that's going to come back is people going to concert halls to hear a concert or to the theater to see a play or the opera or ballet. It's tough for artists because, I mean, that's their, not only is that their living, they're financially dependent on it, but when you don't have an audience to perform to, you lose quite a big chunk of the inspiration. I mean, the whole reason there's nothing that can replace live music, and to not have that anymore, it's really hard. So
So with the kind of technology booms, especially replacing many of the life experiences during the pandemic, do you ever see actually having the virtual experiences being the new normal?
no, please, not the new normal. I mean, the
No,
virtual experience,
it's
it
not
can't
because,
replace the real thing.
because last night we tuned in to one of the symphony's living room
And
concert
that was
series.
nice. Yeah.
Even though it was really nice to still present ourselves, to perform and to let people see our family life and all that stuff. But the one thing I know, because I know of my colleagues how they play, when they play through the internet and through the audio microphone and go through the internet on YouTube, it's not the same. The sound is not the same, and the feeling is not the same. You know, it's
Yeah.
not. You
It's-
can't replace the live.
Right. It is a way to stay connected with the audience because we have no other choice. But there's nothing that replaces the live experience of having people share the music in the moment. That's, it's irreplaceable. And also just making music with your colleagues, having your fellow musicians making music together, that communal sense, it's transformative. When you're by yourself, you're not feeding off of any energy.
But that's what we can do now, because we
Right.
can't really produce any live concerts for real audience in the
Right.
hall.
I mean, I think in the future, the streaming is going to stay. All the organizations, they will have to stream to survive.
But it can't replace.
But
the
it cannot replace, they will have to
live
do it
experience.
in tandem with that.
Meanwhile, we're also seeing like all these social media, everyone is expressing their creativity, their artistic talents, and you guys also perform online as well.
Well, I mean, we've enjoyed making a few recording of our own, just practices at home and sharing it on Facebook or something. And I know a lot of my friends have done much more advanced things, like putting 16 different tracks of themselves playing different parts of the song. And if you're living by yourself, you can make 16 of yourself. But, I mean, after a while, all of that starts becoming too much almost. I feel like there's a saturation point that people will reach with these videos. I mean, as creative as some of them are, and I've enjoyed quite a lot of them, but it's just, there's just too much out there, I don't know.
Yeah,
How you
again,
feel about
I
that?
think the experience is different.
Yeah, it's about
And-
connecting.
But
with people.
I see this as addition.
Yeah,
It's an addition to the life experience. It's like icing on top of cake, but that cannot replace the cake.
right.
It just add more flavor, more variety to our whole entire musical experience with the online content and then streaming.
Yeah.
But people, I don't see people can just be satisfied with that and stop going to live events.
That would be very sad if people got
No,
used to just staying home and listening to.
I can't see that happen, because that's
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah.
How about the standards of like Varia, for example, to have an online performance?
The what?
The barrier of the online experience to
Oh, the barrier. Well, I feel like you're not getting the immediacy of being able to communicate with your audience.
Mm.
Through eye contact or, because they feel your emotion through just being there in that same room, the energy. The computer screen just takes that all out. It takes the energy away.
Yeah, the
So,
reaction too, after you finish this performance,
yeah, the feedback
for a
from the
moment you
audience.
feel like there's a silence
Yeah,
because you don't hear the applause and
don't.
cheer and
Right,
people's reaction.
right,
You don't see
right.
that. It's kind of like strange.
Yeah. So we did this gala for what is it, the River Oaks Clay Court Championship
For the
tennis gala.
tournament.
And they had us represent the Houston Symphony. And we did like a short 15-minute program, and Alice was involved too. And he got to meet some of his idols,
Well, I
tennis.
didn't actually meet them.
He didn't meet them. He met them on Zoom.
They were on the screen.
Yeah,
I see that.
right,
I see
right.
them.
But we were playing to no one. We were playing to this.
But we know the people are
We
watching.
know that people are watching, but you're not getting a response. So it's very strange. I mean, it was fine.
I think it's the same for a lot of Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Like when you say something and then there's like silence. You don't know, did they hear me or was I muted or something you kind of like
You're not
wondering.
sure. You're not sure what the
I
response
often hear
is.
that somebody says something and then they stop. They say,
Right.
am I muted?
Right. And you really have no control over the sound. Well, I mean, we have our mics and
Yeah, but I
whatever,
don't know how people are hearing it.
I don't know how it's translating to the other side. So,
So how do you think we could come out of this pandemic stronger?
how can we come out of it stronger? It's
Or
difficult.
how,
How
or
can we come out
or-
of it stronger?
Or do we actually think we're going to come out stronger?
Yes.
No, like, yeah, or both, I guess. Yeah. It's so divided now. I have to say that it's different than other kind of disasters where people unite,
Like
And
Harvey.
like Harvey or something. I feel like now this pandemic has become more divisive. Just the fact of wearing a mask or not wearing a mask is like, some people are making that into a political statement. That's very sad because it should not be political at all. But it is what it is. I mean, that part of it, I'm not optimistic about because this country is as divisive as it ever is, and if they can be divisive on this, it's kind of hopeless. But as far as arts organizations, I think this is an opportunity for arts organizations to take a lead in when they choose to come back, how they're going to come back, and how to come back stronger. And I think with good leadership, that can happen. So if everybody put their head together and try to find solutions, that's how
Yeah.
good things can happen. And that's what he's doing.
Because I am involved with Houston Symphony's planning for what we can do during this time and how we can go back. So I think Houston Symphony is, at this point, is leading the industry. Because I know a lot of other major orchestra in other cities are kind of like giving up. They see no hope. They're just like, oh,
At least giving up for this season, this coming season.
there's nothing we can do. We're gonna just give up.
They're just going to wait.
We're just close. We stop paying musicians. We're gonna close the door until this thing's over. Maybe
Right.
a
Until
year,
we
maybe
find
2
a
years.
vaccine. Yeah.
But Houston Symphony right now is actually not giving up. The management at least and us, are trying to figure out a way to make it work, to go back
Right.
without taking too much risk. Still, we have safety protocols, all those
Yeah.
measurements, how
Right.
we're going to go back safely.
Right. Like how the
And-
art museum
yeah.
opened. I found the art museum a very safe place when I went the other day. So it's the same.
In a way, some organization will come out of this stronger.
Right.
Some might not. It depends on the attitude.
Right. So do you mind sharing what are some of the steps that Houston Symphony might be taking to open up?
That's
yes,
kind of
we have like
secret,
20-page long. I haven't seen that. I heard there's a 20-page long of safety protocols, like how the musician's gonna arrive to work,
staggered arrival.
staggered arrival time, so not too many people arrive at the same time.
Yeah.
First of all, we're not going to have a large group. So we're going to divide the orchestra into small groups. So maybe 8 people or 12 people, depends on the repertoire. So we're not going to have too many people on stage. And the arrival time is staggered, and the backstage area is all spaced out. People unpack their instruments at different locations, and they're gonna set up the washing station, and then mark the floor, like where you're gonna go to do this and where you're gonna go to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like in and out is one way. Either when you go in, you have to go out in a different place. So there's very minimize the interaction between people. So we kind of like minimize the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when we go back in the first couple of months, we're gonna perform concerts without audience in the hall. So we're just gonna be musicians on stage. Maybe we'll live stream or TV broadcasting or videotape and put it on YouTube or something like that. We'll kind of have to figure out how we're going to do that. And yeah, they're very careful about, if we go back, they don't want to put anybody to
Right.
have any risk.
Because there are high risk people in the orchestra, people who've, cancer survivors and people who are older than 60 or 65.
Yeah.
So you have to have, there's people who are ready to go back to work, and there's people who, they need to stay at home if they can. So.
And for Sherry, how has the online classes been for you? Like, what are the?
It's hard because there's a sound delay, and I teach music, right? So over Zoom, to teach little kids songs, you basically teach them one line at a time and have them repeat it back to you. So singing in a group is impossible because everybody has a different lag in sound. So, but we've made it work. We played games like Name That Tune, where you only mute, you unmute 2 people, so they're competing to see who can name that tune first. I just try to make it creative so they're still having some fun. And I've made music videos where I'm dancing to some classical music and just send out those videos to the parents, and the kids can dance to it. And at the end of the year, each class, the first year classes made a video. Each child sang one line of a song, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or something. And I put them all together, each child having a line, and, all the way through, like the whole class did it. So the whole class is on one video, like 12, 13 kids on this one video singing Twinkle. And the parents loved that. And, so just like I've had a learning curve too with technology, just trying to do iMovies and things like that. But it's good. It's good to have these skills, Like it's funny because the teachers at school think I'm the technology expert, but I really know nothing. I feel like I'm such a novice. He always laughs at me because I really know nothing. But somehow at my school, I'm considered like a tech expert or something. Oh, but yeah, it's been fine. It's a lot of work. Create new content, basically. It's not the same as teaching live, where you can just improvise in the minute, and respond to what works with the kids and keep them, engaged. It's harder to engage online, with that age group especially. They can't sit still.
Yeah, we miss that spontaneity for sure.
Yes, the spontaneity, exactly. Yeah.
So how do you think this pandemic has revealed about the social inequalities?
The social inequalities. Well, I know that it's disproportionately affected the poorer segments of our population. We've been volunteering at the food bank, and definitely see the need. Like I took Luke and Alice, our whole family went to volunteer at the food bank a few times, and also at a distribution center in Spring Branch, the Spring Branch Family Center, where people actually drive through and pick up the food. So I wanted the kids to see the whole process, how the food bank works, their whole system. Which, I have to kudos to the food bank, the Houston Food Bank. They do a great job. you know. But the need is really great out there, of just from the line of cars that are picking up food, just basics, you know. So we feel very lucky that we still are getting a paycheck. Like, so many people have lost jobs. So it makes you, you know, really think about having to balance the need for safety and public health, but also the economy. It is not one or the other. You have to keep that in balance, because more and more people are suffering from not having just the basics to survive.
Yeah, especially the low income family, you know,
Yeah.
if they lose their job, you know, they have no other ways to support their family,
Yeah.
and they have to rely on the, you know, the charity, the food bank, or other
Church,
charity,
yeah.
or a government, you know, stimulus check.
Yeah.
But that can't last.
That
for
can't
too
last
long.
forever. Yeah.
You know, they need the jobs, you know. But right now, people are just like, you know, we have to stay home. I understand that, because, you know, you have to make sure this thing is not going to go out of control, spreading it all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's, at the same time, you face the other challenge. Are we going to destroy the whole economy? Or we're going to make everybody sick? This is like this two tough choice. Which one are you going to pick? You can't really pick one over the other.
Mm-hmm. You have to walk a
So
tightrope.
you have to find a balance somewhere.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It is. It's a ethical dilemma as well. But, you know, somebody has to be a leader and lead, you know, and make these decisions. So that's the same for every workplace. You know, our school chose to open for the summer starting June 3rd. That's a hard decision to make, but we're going to do it. And I think we're going to do it safely.
Yeah, even the
I trust
symphony,
that.
even the symphonies, we're going to go back to work in July, but without audiences ourselves. But we have some colleagues that really worry about it. They feel like, you know, that's not safe. You know, I don't feel comfortable to go back to work. But some other colleagues are like, I can't wait to go back to work. I don't care, because, you know,
You
there's gonna be risk anyway.
Right.
Every day we drive on the highway, there's a risk.
Yeah.
You know, there's always danger out there.
Yeah.
So we can't only think about that and just, you know, kind of like try
Close
to,
ourselves,
to,
yeah.
to stay safe all the time.
Yeah, we can't live in a bubble. Life has to go on. So.
Yeah, definitely. And follow you guys that you've been participating in the Houston Food Bank. So good job on that, and thank you so much. And what else have you been participating in, like the effort to help other people? Can you share that?
Well, I guess besides the volunteering, I think his work with the committees, that's really trying to help get the orchestra back to work. That's his contribution and it's very important, because they're the ones who are considering. There's so many things considered. There's things people don't even think about. You know, dealing with media agreements on what you can stream, and just a lot of nitty gritty things, dealing with like legal language,
there's a lot of legal
dealing with a union.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
regulations and
Yeah.
what we can do to survive.
Right.
But at the same time, we're facing the regulation.
Yeah. I mean, he's meeting, you know, like 3-4 meetings a week, you know, like nonstop meetings, basically. And it's almost like a full-time job to be on these committees. And it's all volunteer work. It's you know, the orchestra elected the committee. They trust him and, you know, these 7 other
There were
people
7 people on the committee.
to come up with a plan that works for everybody. That, I mean, you can't please everybody, but they're trying to take everybody's opinions and worries and considerations into consideration, and, you know, they're trying to not leave anybody behind in this, you know. So yeah, I think that's his contribution. And I mean, I don't know, besides, we've been busy, you know, just every day, just making sure the kids are doing their work. It's hard to get them motivated.
Just cooking.
Cooking,
you know,
just,
itself
you
is a
know.
lot of work, and keep kids. You know,
Yeah.
they have no school, but they're in school,
Right.
supposedly.
Yeah.
But it's hard to imagine that you don't have to go anywhere.
Right.
It's hard for them to actually have that
Motivation.
motivation
Yeah.
to get up and do things.
Yeah. So I guess being a parent is it's a contribution that I'm making. You know, I mean, I don't get this chance to be like home this much, and it's just been really great. That part of it has been really great to spend more time with the kids. Yeah.
I saw you guys participated in the 1,000 Cranes for Hope.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm on social media, so whenever I see something that I feel like it's a good cause, you know, I mean, I've been folding cranes since I was a little girl. I mean, I love origami, and you know, I've showed Alice a few things here and there, but when I saw that Asia Society was doing that, I thought, oh, that's just a great activity for the day, you know, for us to make cranes together. So I showed Alice how to do it, and we spent a couple hours folding cranes. And it's a good, you know, it symbolizes this, you know, the yearning for peace and health and good wishes for everyone. So, and it's good luck. So you can't go wrong with that. So, yeah, I think they're putting together some kind of montage of photos and videos of people who have done it. I know Stephanie reached out to me to ask me for the photos I took, so that it's good. It's always good to participate in something like that builds community, and I feel like all these organizations that are still doing that, they're doing a good job. And the Asia Society has also been doing these videos. Like I think it was just last night or 2 nights ago, they had these the czar that Mayor Turner appointed for recovery. I forgot his name, and then some other a doctor and the Harris County public health person. So they've been having these public talks, that kind of discussions that help people know more information and have like really healthy, balanced discussions. And they were talking about this exact thing about balancing the economy and you know, public health concerns. So I've been paying a lot of attention to just what's going on, you know, and because I mean, I don't want this to become a political thing, and I know it has, but there's always voices of reason. I feel like most people still are very responsible, and we can still trust people to do the best, you know, for their neighbors. You know, we don't need to necessarily legislate so much. You know, I think people generally are still good, and they want to do the right thing.
Definitely. On the other end, we've also been seeing some of the kind of hate crimes targeted towards Asian Americans, although I'm not sure if you experienced any type of experiences like that.
No.
We haven't experienced that.
No.
Any of that. But
We've never experienced that.
I did read
in our lives.
sometimes the news pops up here and
Yeah.
there. People are, you know, make those racist comments towards Asian community. I think, in general, I think those are kind of isolated incidents. I don't feel that's that's become a trend.
Yeah, I don't
It
see
becomes
that.
a problem.
Right.
There's always people like they're really kind of ridiculous, and
Right.
we can't eliminate that. You know, there's always gonna be people that are kind of idiots.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't like to focus necessarily on things like that, because I think it's a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Like if you focus on it, then it brings more attention to it, and you see more that way. It's this is the attitude you yourself have. I mean, even if something like that happened to me, I think I would, because I am a think on the bright side person, I would grant that person that said that was just ignorant. And I would not be, you know, outraged. I would try to educate that
Just
person.
like I said, those, you know, you can just say, oh, that's
That, you know, that
he's
he
just
doesn't
an
know.
idiot.
He's an
you know,
idiot.
I'm gonna just walk away.
Yeah, I would rather just ignore it.
But
and
most
go
people
on.
are nice. There's
Yeah.
like a few. There's always a few bad eggs.
Yeah, and then some people say something really because they don't know better. They really don't know better. They just say things that maybe are kind of, in the old days it might have been okay, but now it's not okay because we live in this politically correct environment. and those older generation of people might think asking you about, like a Fu Manchu or something is like, like making some joke. They might think that's okay, and now it's not okay. Those kind of things don't really bother me. But I mean, if they're physically assaulting and hurting someone, of course that's totally wrong, and it's wrong no matter what, no matter if it's racism or not.
I still haven't experienced that kind of experience. But I've seen it on the social media,
I've seen it on
news,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't actually experienced that in my life yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's out there, but I think it's very few.
Yeah.
So since we've all been staying at home, and how does the kind of staying at home experience change the experience, the relationship between your loved ones and the family?
Well,
We'll definitely get
we're
much
closer.
closer.
I mean, I guess some couples can fight more, but I think this has been a
it's
really
just
good time
closer
for us.
because you get to, nobody has to go to work, and there's no stress over lack of sleep, stress of work,
Right.
schedule, and
Yeah.
driving around for kids' activities.
Yeah.
So we are more relaxed. So when
In a way.
I wake up whenever I want.
not
I can wake
sleeping
up
in.
early. I
Yeah.
can wake
He's
up
still
early,
waking up pretty early.
or I can wake up late. But it's just like
Yeah.
it's whatever I want. So it kind of like you are in general more relaxed. So when you're more relaxed, you kind of in general you're in a better mood.
Now, if we weren't getting our paychecks, it would be a different story.
Yeah, if I have no income,
but
that would be
but we
different.
are both still getting a paycheck, so that makes all the difference in the world. So we are the lucky ones
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
we kind of spend more time together and
Yeah.
plan our meals. Like what we're gonna eat for lunch.
Yeah, we're actually just
What
enjoying
we're gonna
life.
eat for dinner.
Just
when
this-
we're gonna go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
We don't want to go every day.
right.
So we have to plan like we'll go
Yeah.
once a week.
Yeah.
You have to plan it, and then
Yeah.
it's gonna last for a week, and then you're gonna get on top of the kids. Kids is here all the time.
Right.
Before it's like they go to school, we have a whole day. You don't see
Right. Before they're
them. You don't see them
overscheduled.
until they come back at 4.
And then we're taking them to tennis lessons and
it's always like busy, busy, busy,
activities.
busy. But now it's like, okay, what we'll do now?
Nothing's going on today. Nothing on the schedule.
So we watch a lot of TV. I mean, not
Yeah,
TV,
we're watching some
like
shows
like
together.
Netflix, Amazon.
We never get to do that.
So we
it's
watch a lot of shows together.
Yeah.
And sometimes
That's
we play
good.
board game with kids.
Yeah.
Practice. I play duets with my daughter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you get closer, because you spend a lot more time together,
Yeah.
and then you have to make it work because there's no other
There's
option.
no choice. Yeah. They both, all of my family are pretty much, I want to say, introverts, and except for me, I do miss going out. Like as soon as art museum opened, I went, because I miss that kind of thing. And whoever is going to open their organization first, I'm going. Whatever precautions I need to take, I'll take it, but I'm going. But they like spending time at home, all of them.
Yeah, me and my
And
kids are homebody.
They're perfectly happy just being at home.
It's like I'm so happy
So
to stay
this
home.
is very, very good for them. Yeah.
So just before I close, what is the first thing you guys are gonna do when it's safe to do so?
What's the first thing?
What's the first thing we're gonna do?
I would say maybe go to a really nice restaurant. And have
Yeah.
a nice thing. We haven't been eating
I'd like
out.
to go to our favorite little restaurant.
We haven't been eating out for over 2 months.
We have not eaten out in 9 weeks.